It is the new My 105.3 WJLT, 80s, 90s, and now. I'm Bobby G here on the My Morning Show. Stacy Godbold, who is normally my co-host, is not here today. She's at home resting and recovering from just some funk that took over her body yesterday. So hopefully we'll have her back in the studio tomorrow. But I'm actually joined by some special guests in the studio now. Actually, some guests that Stacy lined up, and then she's not even here to talk to you. I got a whole room full of guys from Uniting Evansville, which is an amazing organization that's got an event coming up next week. We've got Josh Brewer, we've got Sean Welcher, Courtney Johnson, and Sean Little, all representing Uniting Evansville. So first of all, thank you guys for coming in today, and I can't wait to talk about your event that's coming up. But let's first talk about the organization itself, Uniting Evansville, what it is, and what you guys do, and how people can be a part of it, and just kind of a general overview of the organization. Whoever wants to take it first. We got 4 people and 3 microphones, so just
start us off, Sean Little. Start us off.
Sean Little. All right, on the mic.
Yeah, what I always say about Uniting Evansville is that it started from the relationships within our leadership team, that we were privileged enough to be able to sit around tables and have conversations about issues that we see in our society that aren't represented and talked about elsewhere, specifically between the police department and often the African American community. So from internally, that's sort of where those conversations started. We were privileged enough to have those, and then we just wanted to take those into a larger platform out into the community.
So, Uniting Evansville, Josh, if you want to get on the mic just for a second, I know you don't want to, but you're gonna anyway.
Right.
Get right. Pull that. You can pull that microphone up to you. It moves. So, Uniting Evansville, like the name kind of suggests, is you're uniting Evansville. You mentioned specifically police and community relations and that type of thing. Why don't you kind of expand on that, on the goal of Uniting Evansville?
Yes, really just getting to know each other on a personal level. We feel that's very important. It's a process that's going to be slow. It's not always pretty, and it's going to take some time. We haven't gotten the situation we're in right now overnight, so it's going to take a little time to develop those relationships. Mm-hmm. So really just getting to know each other, knowing each other's name, knowing the police officer that's working in your area, and developing trust, and having that transparency. People really enjoy that when they know each other, when they they don't just see this uniform, but they see me as Josh.
Sure, yeah.
And then when I see somebody on the street, hey, I know their name too, and we can have a conversation and be able to work together.
Yeah, Stacy and I have talked several times in the past about when you're bringing up your children, we hate to see when parents use the police as a threat almost, and it just generates this fear of them from a very young age to fear police officers, as opposed to trusting you and wanting to go to you and relying on you and feeling comfortable around you as a police officer instead of fearing you. So I feel like this is kind of going down that path as well, just to build friendly relationships, and when you know somebody by name, you've met them, you can realize, wow, this guy's okay, right? He's just another guy. He's just Josh.
And I think that's what's so valuable about Josh and his partner Blake. They see those things, both what you're saying, that police officers are treated as a threat, in the house.
Yeah, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, I'm going to call the cops on you. Right. It sounds like a silly threat, but then these kids are brought up to think, well, I don't want to do anything bad, because this guy's a bad guy. He's going to come get me or something.
So there's those situations, but then there are also situations where that threat is much more significant for a certain part of the population than others. But what I think is dope about these guys is that they know all of that, they understand that, and they engage it. They go into it and don't pull back from it as police officers, and I really respect that, and that's something that got me on board.
Can I just say that I'm super excited you used the word dope?
There it is.
I'm a child of the 90s.
I see you in the Beastie Boys shirt.
Yeah, I was going to say something about the shirt too when I came in.
So I still say dope, I still say fly, I still say word all the time, and I think word especially is just one of these words that is just...
Yes.
It's just a good word.
And it means so many different things. We could have a whole conversation about word, but we won't go down that road because we need to stay on task here. So let's talk about the event that's coming up next Wednesday. We're talking with several folks from Uniting Evansville. Josh Brewer from the Evansville Police Department, Sean Welcher, Courtney Johnson, and Sean Little talking about this event. Who wants to talk about the event next Wednesday, April 5th, and what it is, where it is, all the vital information? Somebody.
Me?
Step up.
All right, so
Okay,
this is Sean Welcher doing the talking now, right?
Yeah, that's me. So this event was born out of different surveys that we took of what people wanted to hear, wanted to talk about, and they wanted to know what the police actually do. They wanted to know what they had questions about everyday life, because oftentimes we don't get to talk to police officers about what they do because we can't relate. We can't relate on a level because we don't have the same type of job. But so this event is EPD
It's EPD on the spot.
on the spot. I wanted to say on blast, but it's EPD on the spot.
They both work. I can get the point.
And it is at 6 o'clock?
6:30.
6:30.
Maybe Sean
I
should
pointed
have.
to you.
Maybe Sean should
I
have
pointed
gotten
to
it.
you.
A lot of details to keep up with.
6:30 at the CK Newsom Center.
Okay.
And it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be just conversations, open air questions. There's gonna be food, which is always good
That
to
always
know.
gets people out.
Beat-ups, by the way.
Yeah,
Oh, for real?
B-dubs.
B-dubs.
Shout out to
And
Huge shout out to
special
B-Dubs.
thanks to Jason's Deli and B-Dubs.
yes.
Oh yeah,
yes,
two of my
yes.
favorites.
Yeah. So if the police don't get you out, the food should. And it's just gonna be open and relational. We're gonna introduce the people by name. You're gonna get to know some police officers and get to hear a little bit about the day to day of what they do.
And really, just any question you might have for them.
Yeah.
You know, have you guys done this type of event before?
That's
The
what-
Q&A type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna kind of say. This is our 4th event. Our first event was kind of a panel discussion with all of us, everybody that's on board with Uniting Evansville, and that was amazing. We didn't know that it was gonna turn out the way that it did. We had a huge crowd. A lot of people left with just positive attitudes, wanting to know more. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? How are we going to work together? And our second event was in the park, I believe, right? We did the community cookout. So that turned out great as well. And then our third event it wasn't a panel discussion, but it was kind of a group discussion. We had round table discussion. We had 14, 15 tables. 8 or 9 people at each table, and that turned out good too. So each event has been unique in its own way, and I think this event is very different, and I'm glad that we kind of put this together because I'm sure a lot of people have questions for the police.
Absolutely.
And even learning things. I've been learning so much just being around Blake and Josh, and just I think it's important that people know these things. So
And I think the conversations build on one another. They sort of validate the next conversation that we're going to have. We see a lot of the same people showing up. And again, I think, what we saw internally amongst us as a leadership team is that there's not a place in society where these conversations are being had constructively, authentically, vulnerably. We're not trying to roast anybody or beat up on anybody. We just want to create a neutral environment where people can be heard and they can express themselves.
Yeah, and I think sometimes in those situations, it just takes kind of that first person to ask a question. Somebody else is gonna think, I was gonna ask that. I was a little nervous. I was a little intimidated, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna get in this conversation too. So come out, bring questions with you. There's nothing's off limits, right? I mean,
Right.
any kind of question you might have, if
Unless
it's gonna
it's
help.
an ongoing investigation.
Well, right.
Unless legally.
I want to know about my cousin. He didn't do it, dog.
But yeah, the cool thing about these events is something that we always say is it's a group of people that normally wouldn't hang out together, coming together and talking about topics and issues that we normally don't talk about because we're uncomfortable. And this provides the opportunity to do so.
Gotcha. It's a awesome event sounding. It's Uniting Evansville. Cops on the spot. Is that what you said it is?
EPD on the spot.
EPD on the spot. I'm just saying, cops on the the kind of rhymes a little bit more. I'm just saying if you want to. If you want to
use
change
that for the next one.
it's royalty free. I don't even want credit for it.
And the cool thing is that we have the officers that will be available are officers in different units and also with different lengths of time on the department. So different perspectives there.
Sure,
Those
different
police
experiences, and they can
officers.
speak to different things.
So
like that.
in different specialty units, we have patrol officers, we have community police officers, members of the intelligence led policing unit, our FTO, our field training unit. So we have many different perspectives and that are going to be available for people to talk to.
All right, it's Josh Brewer, Sean Welcher, Courtney Johnson, and Sean Little, all representing Uniting Evansville. Again, the event is next Wednesday, April 5th, 6:30
Yes.
at the C.K. Newsom Center just down the road on Walnut here near downtown Evansville. EPD on the spot. Come for the Q&A, the free food from B-Dubs and Jason's Deli, and ask questions of these guys and maybe make a new friend.
Yeah.
That's what it's
That's
all
the
about.
goal. That's
yeah,
the goal,
that's
yeah.
that's the big goal.
Thank you guys so much for coming in, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.